Simon Carswell?
Bob, I wanted to ask, how can a small country like Ireland respond to this? What influence can we bring to bear to this? And I would say the response of our government and the Minister for Foreign Affairs has been pretty pathetic in terms of it hasn't really gone beyond expressing a level of outrage and really discomfort with what's happened. If you look at what happened in relation to the murder in Dubai, where you had Israeli Secret Service agents using Irish passports, for me that would be grounds to start expelling diplomats. And I'm just wondering what kind of reaction that could get in Ireland if the Irish government would start doing
they?
so.
And the Australians expelled diplomats, at least one, the Mossad agent. Well, it's small countries, it's more difficult, and you have to it's always been Ireland's policy to act through the European Union, and that is, of course, a road to nowhere when it comes to dealing with Israel. I would want to know, and I don't know the answer to this because I haven't been to Ireland for a few months, I'd be interested to know if there's any military cooperation or any, for example, Irish weapons company, I know they're not big, but they exist, which is doing any deals with Israel. I know, for example, there are some security companies, Israelis, which are operating in Ireland. I remember many years ago I was offered a key to a front door which was manufactured in Israel. There's all kinds of ways, I suppose, but, I'm not myself, I don't believe in boycotts. It needs, I suppose, at the end of the day, it needs amnesty meetings, it needs public demonstrations, it needs, at the next election, a serious argument put to all politicians. We need policies to deal with Israel. But, of course, in Ireland's economic state at the moment, that is not going to be the first priority either of the people or of the government, and I can well see why. I don't know if small countries can do that, except I would say that this was an Irish ship. There were Irish people on board. The world knows that there were Irish people on board. The Palestinians know there were Irish people on board. That may be the best you can do at the moment. My view on all this always is, what can I do? I get lots of letters from readers in the United States. What can I do? Go there. Go to Gaza. Go to Israel. Go to the West Bank. Every Irish man and woman who can go, even if it's only for a holiday, go and find out what the hell is going on. And don't just trust spokesmen and governments and videotapes and journalists, but go there yourself. And that way, I think one would find that there would be a great public binding together of views on the injustices of what are going on in the Middle East as a whole. But other than that, and that's a pretty poor reply, I don't really have an answer.
Okay, Robert, we're very grateful to you for joining us from New York. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Robert
Bye-bye.
Fisk, the Middle East correspondent of the London Independent. Noirin, you want to...
Can I just come in there on Robert's view on boycott? I would disagree with him on that, and in fact we've advocated editorially today that there should be a boycott of Israeli goods in Ireland at the moment, because it is the way that a ground movement can do something about it. And if you recall, when Nelson Mandela was released, he said that the Dunn's workers' refusal to handle South African goods was a spark of hope for him when he was serving his 26 years in prison. So I think that people can, on an individual basis, make a difference and make a personal choice, and then obviously not just do it personally, but you've got to go to the supermarket that you buy the goods in and say, I'm not buying these goods for a particular reason.
But I think, go on, Mick.
I'm not a supporter of boycott either. I don't think we'd buy from anybody if we started applying moralistic rules to the behaviour of others, and probably no one would buy from us.
But there's a line, so apartheid was a line, Mick. I didn't. And the boycott, the cultural, sporting boycott, the economic boycott, the Americans in particular, the American Senate passed a bill to boycott South Africa. It did have a real impact. And it did lead to a dramatic and historic change.
Okay, if you want to change what's happening with Gaza today, if you want to make a big impact, it's the Americans that you have to mindset that you have to change.
Okay,
because they are the ones making it happen.
I think
Israel could not do what it's doing without the backing of the Americans.
Absolutely. Okay, we have to take an ad break now. We'll return after this.
The Dunphy Show on Newstalk 106 to 108.
Welcome back to the programme. My guests this morning are John Waters, Simon Carswell, finance correspondent of the Irish Times, Noreen Hegarty, editor of Sunday Tribune, Mick Wallace, builder and developer, John Waters, of course, columnist with the Irish Times and with the Irish Daily Mail, and author of some very good books. The latest one, Beyond Consolation, or How We Became Too Clever for God and our own good. You can contact the show by texting us at 53106. You can low call 1890 453 106 or email the show dunphy@newstalk.ie. Your comments about Robert Fisk's contribution, they're popping up on the screen all the time, and some of them are quite hostile to Robert. Let's see, where are we? The lack of balance is shameful. No comment on the lynch mob trying to kill the commandos. That's the lynch mob who were on the boat. And someone called Rowan says, or a Rowan, why doesn't an American boat bring aid to Gaza to see if they would be stopped, which is a rather interesting concept. And Richard Waterford said we should give Israel our unequivocal support. The alternative is the spread of Islamic fundamentalism through the Middle East, Turkey and the western borders of Europe. That's from Richard in Waterford. It is appalling that Wooly Walters would confuse or purposely muddle Hamas with the murder of innocent citizens trying to deliver humanitarian aid. I'm not quite sure about that. Some dodgy people listen to Newstalk. Now, here we go. Emma Burke, 6 million Jews surrounded by 200 million Arabs who want them dead, supported by 1 billion Muslims who want them dead, and further supported by millions of foolish, liberal left Western fools who deep down really hate Jews as well. The Jews won't walk meekly to their deaths again. So there we go. There are people out there.
Because it was, I don't know if we saw a piece yesterday by Henning Mankell. He's the author of the Swedish novelist, author of Wallander, and he was on one of the ships, the first flotilla, not the Mavi Marmara, but one of the other ones called the Challenger. And the way he describes how the Israelis herded people together, kept them for 11 hours before they got off. He alleges the Israeli soldiers stole their passports, their credit cards, their iPhones, their iPods, the whole lot, and they never got them returned to them. But there is almost like a hangover of, they were lined up to give fingerprints. One man said, I'll give you my name, I'll give you all of my details, but I refuse to give you my fingerprints. I haven't committed a crime. And according to Henning Mankell, he was beaten to the ground. Yes. And there are almost like echoes of how the Jews were treated in World War II. And I wonder somewhere deep in the psyche in Israel, and it is like the notion of Israel is a wonderful notion that people who are persecuted in all these different countries around the world can come together and create their own world. But is there a sense of that ultimate victimhood, and then a lack of understanding, therefore, as to the persecution that they're inflicting on other people?
Yes, I mean, it's a very, very complicated and nuanced set of circumstances, but, a thug is a thug. Is my view, and to all of those who feel that we're liberal left fools, well, I'm not liberal, I'm not left, bit of a fool though. Now we're going to turn to Cumbria.